Denji is holding Power while he awakens while holding Meowie. She wonders why Denji protected her when she tried to murder the Bat Devil after seeing him in the process of dying. She thinks it's a silly explanation when he points at her chest and says he wants to touch her. She accepts her mistake and says she'll let him touch her now that Meowie is secure. Denji raises his arm in excitement, but it is immediately blasted. He then picks his arm, which the Leech Devil then eats. Denji is instructed to grab Meowie and flee by Power, who is unable to walk. Denji tugs on the rope on his chest, but all that appears is a tiny chainsaw, leading him to believe that he may be low on blood. Denji tries to avoid her blows as they begin to struggle. He finally succeeds in landing a punch, but the Leech Devil knocks him away and remarks that he appears too frail to be able to defeat the Bat Devil. She admits that they had a passionate and noble dream in which she and he would kill all people. The Leech Devil thinks Denji's dream is quite awful, but he refuses to pass away before he has had a chance to process his feelings. With the tiny chainsaw on his head, he manages to sever her neck as he dashes at the demon. Then Denji complains about how everyone mocks his dream and how much greater dreams they have. He says they should have a dream battle and that if he kills her, it will prove that her fantasy is stronger than his as he grows increasingly enraged. Even his screaming, according to the Leech Devil, is ineffective. Denji immediately charges her, dodging her blows. When he finally leaps at her, she uses her tongue to penetrate his chest and defeat him. Aki appears just as she is ready to devour him, using Khan to consume the Leech Devil's skull with the Fox Devil. When the Fox Devil approaches Aki and requests permission to ingest the Leech Devil, Aki agrees. The Leech Devil has been wiped out, and Aki instructs the novice devil hunters that traveled with him to conduct search and rescue. He then begs Himino, who is older, to keep an eye out for further devils. When Denji awakens in the hospital, Aki informs him that they have located his arm and that all it needs is some blood to reattach. Denji observes that Aki and the Fox Devil appear to be friendly. Aki reveals that in order to battle devils, devil hunters enter into contracts with them. Aki gave the Fox Devil portion of his body as payment for power. In this case, it was some skin. Though she doesn't understand why Denji is defending her, Aki remembers hearing stories of individuals wishing to thank the Chainsaw Devil for saving their lives. He warns Denji that if he persists looking, he will have to collaborate with Denji to draft a report that will result in Power's disposal. He stands in for her. Aki won't think about it, though, because there are no deaths and provided Denji agrees to one condition. Aki pushes the apples to Denji and begs him to pay attention so he can keep living the way he is. Denji nods in agreement and adds that while he may not be as serious or have as lofty aspirations as him, he can still trust on him. Power and Himino are waiting outside the hospital room, and as Aki leaves, Power says he ought to have asked Denji for assurance that she is innocent. Himino warns that Aki will be held accountable if he frees her and she kills someone. The devil hunters, according to Aki, will utilize the devils and fiends against their foes if they are useful. Aki goes to see Makima at the headquarters in the evening and tells her about Denji and Power, who were out on patrol when they found a house that seemed like a devil was inside of it. The Bat Devil was vanquished by Denji. He was attacked by the Leech Devil, but Division 4 destroyed that devil. Additionally, they didn't discover any gun flesh in the two devils. Despite noting that Denji and Power were able to travel quite a distance without anybody noticing, Makima thanks him for the information. Since there were no casualties and they were able to expel two devils, Aki claims they can ignore it. Makima agrees, but observes that Aki looks more adaptable today and wonders if Denji's influence is to blame. Aki, however, disputes that he had changed. Aki gets up in the morning and does her laundry. He prepares coffee and then walks to his balcony to sit. After that, Aki begins cleaning the house while Denji eats breakfast. He afterwards begins to make curries for lunch. They hear someone heavily hammering on their door, and when they go to investigate, they see Power tear down the door and enter, complaining that their home is in a pathetic state. When Makima calls Aki, she explains that she also wishes to entrust him with caring for Power, just like Denji did. Makima reassures him that Power made a behavior commitment. Power picks up her plate of vegetables as they are preparing to eat lunch and says she doesn't like it before throwing it away. She receives reprimands from Denji and Aki for misbehaving and wasting food, but she doesn't care. When Power approaches and points at Denji's chest while indicating a grab, she is attempting to unblock the toilet. She declares that by letting him touch her, she is keeping her word. She informs him he has 3 squeezes as she is sitting on the toilet. 1 to slay Bat Devil, 1 to save Meowie from Aki, and 1 for each. She had initially planned to forbid him, but she changed her mind, excitedly believing her to be an angel. Denji. Subscribe to the channel for more anime recaps.